Without conscience, the disturbing world of the psychopaths among us. Robert D. Hare, Ph.D. Without conscience, the disturbing world of the psychopaths among us. Robert D. Hare, Ph.D. The Guilford Press, New York, London. Contents. Author's note. Preface and acknowledgements. Introduction. The problem. 1. Experiencing the psychopath. 2. Focusing the picture. 3. The profile, feelings and relationships. 4. The profile, lifestyle. 5. Internal controls, the missing piece. 6. Crime, the logical choice. 7. White collar psychopaths. 8. Words from an overcoat pocket. 9. Flies in the web. 10. The roots of the problem. 11. The ethics of labeling. 12. Can anything be done? 13. A survival guide. Epilogue. Chapter notes. Author's note. Psychopathy is a personality disorder defined by a distinctive cluster of behaviors and inferred personality traits, most of which society views as pejorative. It is therefore no light matter to diagnose an individual as a psychopath. Like any psychiatric disorder, diagnosis is based on the accumulation of evidence then an individual satisfies at least the minimal criteria for the disorder. In cases based on my own files, the individuals have been carefully diagnosed on the basis of extensive interview and file information. However, I have discussed these individuals by altering details and removing identifying information without compromising the point I was trying to make. Although the topic of this book is psychopathy, not everyone described herein is a psychopath. Many of the examples I use are taken from published reports, the news media, and personal communications, and I cannot be sure that the individuals in question are psychopaths, even though they may have been given the label by others. In each case, however, the documented evidence concerning some aspect of the person's behavior is either consistent with the concept of psychopathy or illustrates a key trait or behavior that is typical of the disorder. These individuals may or may not be psychopaths, but their reported behavior provides a useful vehicle for elaborating the various traits and behaviors that define psychopathy. The reader should not assume that an individual is a psychopath simply because of the context in which he or she is portrayed in this book. Preface and acknowledgements. Psychopaths are social predators who charm, manipulate, and ruthlessly plow their way through life, leaving a broad trail of broken hearts, shattered expectations, and empty wallets. Completely lacking in conscience and in feelings for others, they selfishly take what they want and do as they please, violating social norms and expectations without the slightest sense of guilt or regret. The bewildered victims desperately ask, who are these people? What makes them the way they are? How can we protect ourselves? Although these and related questions have been the focus of clinical speculation and empirical research for over 100 years, and of my own work for a quarter century. It is primarily within the last few decades that the deadly mystery of the psychopath has begun to reveal itself. When I agreed to write this book, I knew it would be difficult to present hard scientific data and circumspection in a way that the public could understand. I would have been quite comfortable remaining in my academic ivory tower, having esoteric discussions with other researchers and writing technical books and articles. However, In recent years, there has been a dramatic upsurge in the public's exposure to the machinations and depredations of psychopaths. The news media are filled with dramatic accounts of violent crime, financial scandals, and violations of the public trust. Countless movies and books tell the stories of serial killers, con artists, and members of organized crime. Although many of these accounts and portrayals are of psychopaths, many others are not, and this important distinction is often lost on the news media, the entertainment industry, and the public. Even those members of the criminal justice system, lawyers, forensic psychiatrists and psychologists, social workers, parole officers, law enforcement officers, correctional staff whose work daily brings them into contact with psychopaths often have a little practical appreciation of the sort of people they are dealing with. This failure to distinguish between offenders who are psychopaths and those who are not has dire consequences for society, as this book makes clear. On a more personal level, it is very likely that at some time in your life you will come into painful contact with a psychopath. For your own physical, psychological, and financial well-being, it is crucial that you know how to identify the psychopath, how to protect yourself, and how to minimize the harm done to you. Much of the scientific literature on psychopathy is technical, abstract, and difficult to follow for those who lack a background in the behavioral sciences. My goal was to translate this literature so that it became accessible not only to the general public health community. I tried not to oversimplify theoretical issues and research findings or to overstate what we know. I hope that those readers whose interest is piqued will use the chapter notes to delve deeper into the topic. The scientific slant to this book reflects my background in experimental psychology and cognitive psychophysiology. Some readers may be disappointed to see that I have devoted a little space to discussions of psychodynamic issues such as unconscious processes and conflicts, defense mechanisms, and so forth. Although many books and hundreds of articles on the psychodynamics of psychopathy has been written over the past 50 years. In my opinion, they have not greatly advanced our understanding of the disorder. To a large extent, this is because most psychodynamic accounts of psychopathy have an armchair, often circular quality about them, and therefore do not readily lend themselves to empirical study. However, recently there have been some attempts to establish congruence between psychodynamic speculations about psychopathy and the theories and procedures of behavioral science. Some of the results of this work are interesting and, where relevant, are discussed in this book. Over the years, I have been blessed with a steady stream of outstanding graduate students and assistants. Our relationships have always been mutually beneficial. I provide guidance and nurturing environment, and they provide the fresh ideas, creative spark, and enthusiasm for research needed to keep a laboratory vibrant and productive. Their contributions are evident in the frequency with which graduate students are listed as senior authors on publications emanating from my laboratory. I am particularly indebted to Stephen Hart, Adela Force, Timothy Harper, Sherry Williamson, and Brenda Gilstrom, each of whom played a major role in my thinking and research over the past decade. Our research has been supported by grants from the Medical Research Council of Canada, the MacArthur Research Network on Mental Health, and the Law and the British Columbia Health Research Foundation. Most of this research was conducted in institutions run by the Correctional Service of Canada. The cooperation of the inmates and the staff of these institutions is gratefully acknowledged. To protect the identities of the inmates who took part in the research, I have altered the details of specific cases or combined several cases into composites. I would like to thank Judith Regan for encouraging me to write this book, and Susan Lipset for showing me how to convert technical material into readable prose. My view of life has been greatly influenced by the courage, determination, and grace of my daughter Cheryl and my sister Noel. I owe a special debt to my wife and best friend Averil, who, in spite of a demanding professional career of her own, somehow found the time and energy to actively support and encourage my work. Her warmth, judgment, and clinical acumen have kept me happy, secure, and sane over the years. Without conscience. Let's stop here.